Marianne. Thank you for the introduction. So once again, good evening, everyone. Brands of Repute. Wasn't it wonderful, the earlier session? We actually had the Brands of Repute here. Gentlemen from Empire, and we have Infosys, we had ITC Foods, and we had MTR. Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? So let's put our hands together for being here today. Yeah, let's put our hands together, guys. I want everyone in the room to put your hands together. All right, so play along with me. Play along with me. Vasu, you too. So use your hands, keep your mobile phones down, and as you bring your hands together, clasp them. Hussein, clasp your hands. Can you clasp your hands? All right, I'm looking at all of you here clasping your hands. Some of us have our left thumb over our right. Yeah? The others might have their right thumb over their left. There is no third way. Okay? There is no third way. So now what I want you to do is take your hands apart. So please play along with me. Yeah. Take your hands apart and now bring them back together slowly. This time, change the thumbs. If your left was on top of the right, put your right thumb on top of the left. All right? How does it feel? How does it feel, ma'am?
Interesting.
It feels interesting to her. How does it feel, sir? It's a little different. How does it feel? It feels weird. Feels weird. Right? All right. So now what I would like you to do is take your hands apart now and bring them back and clasp them any which way you want. Any which way. All right? Now, did you see? I want you to observe this. Each and every one of us in the room, I asked you to make one little change. But given the slightest of opportunity, you went back to being the way you were before I asked you to make that change. Am I right? Fantastic. So guys, we love being in a comfort zone. We just love it, right? But change happens. Change is happening all around us right now. As I speak, as you listen, as we breathe, every cell in our body is changing. So also, the business environment around us is changing. It's constantly changing. You heard Mr. Sunay Basin earlier today, and he spoke of how things have changed. He showed us that old Doordarshan clip, and then he showed us how the news is narrated now. So change is happening in the business environment. The real question is, how do we handle change? Vamsi Krishna, how do we handle change, sir? Embrace it, he says. I asked you to make one little change. Did you embrace it? No, you did not. How do we handle it? Anyone else? How do we handle change? So the first thing that we need to do is anticipate that change is going to happen. Anticipate, guys. Change is the only constant, like Mr. Basan told us earlier today. Right? So change is going to happen. And then what do we do? And then we monitor the change. We monitor the change. And then what do we do? What do we do, Jigisha? Sorry? Adapt, she says. So first we need to accept it, my dear lady. Accept the change. And then what do? We adapt. We adapt to the change. And then, what do we do then? And then we change. We change, we enjoy the change, and then what? Next. We move with the change and be ready to change again. Because change is the only constant. But guys, the real question here today is, do we accept, adapt? Do we accept and adapt to change easily? We don't. We don't do it, right? All of us, anyone in the room here doesn't want growth. We all want growth, right? Put your hand up if you want growth, right? Fantastic. We want growth, but we are not ready to change. In the words of Charles Darwin, let me tell you what Charles Darwin said, lady. In the words of Charles Darwin, you know, the theory of evolution, Charles Darwin said, it is not the strongest of the species nor the most intelligent that will survive, but the ones that are most responsive to change. But my take on what Charles Darwin said, Mr. Raj, my take on what Charles Darwin said is it merely enough for us to survive? Think about it. Is it enough for us to just survive, or do we want to thrive? Are you sure? If you want to thrive, I want all of you to say, yes, we want to thrive. Can I see your muscle there? Fantastic, yes, we want to thrive. Yeah, change being the only constant, guys. You know, change happened in my life. In 1987, I had to leave the glittering city of Hong Kong, where I was working in an import-export textile company. Very happy. I had to move from there because I was the only son. And my father wanted me to come back to India to handle his retail clothing business. Being the dutiful son that I was, back I came to Bangalore and picked up strings in his business. I quickly, in a few years, grew that business from 1 retail outlet to 6 outlets. Right? That was the business that I knew then, and I grew it to 6 outlets. But I was not satisfied. I was not satisfied. I felt that I deserved much more. So transformation happened in my business, and we got into customized clothing. We got into customized clothing and uniforms, which we started supplying to corporates, colleges, hotels, hospitals, and the like. And business was good. Yeah, we were thriving. Ma'am, we were thriving. Business was good. Customized clothing and uniforms, right? But I was not happy. Do you know why I was not happy? Because at times, I would get a call from the client saying, can I speak to Ramu Taylor? Ramu Taylor? I certainly didn't want to be called that. Change was happening. At that time, I was already part of BNI, which is a networking organization that had helped me transform my business. It had also helped me grow as a person. It helped me grow as a person because it gave me a lot of opportunities. Opportunities to work with people. Opportunities to address an audience, give presentations, mentor entrepreneurs. And hey, you know what? It also gave me the opportunity to train members in the region. So now, Ramu Taylor had become Ram Samtani, the trainer. Change was happening, and I was embracing the change and moving along with it. So now that I was here in this space at that time, it was in 2020 that Varsha, my better half, and I set up a training and coaching business called The Winning Impression. And last year, in January, I get a call, and this call is from the global master trainer of BNI, and he says, hey, Ram, I was wondering why you didn't grab the opportunity of nominating yourself for being the area director of one of the regions of Bangalore. And I said, if people see me as a leader, they should nominate me. Why should I self-nominate? The rest is history. And on 1st of February last year, I was appointed as the area director of BNI Bangalore Northwest. And we have a region of 900 members and 21 chapters, which I manage along with a team of senior director consultants and director consultants. So again, working with people. So I was wondering, why is it that those members chose me to be a leader for the region? I have several members here. BNI members, can you say yay? Is that what BNI members do? Can you say yay? Okay, fantastic. So BNI members are most active first thing in the morning. Yeah, 7:30 in the morning, they're full of energy. So this is, I was wondering, and as Steve Jobs said, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. And while I was connecting the dots, I realized why I was chosen to be the area director. I realized that I was willing to learn and grow beyond Ramu Taylor. I was open to learning and growing, and they looked at me in a different light. I had created a professional presence for myself. Professional presence? What is that? Presence. Everyone has it, right? All of us in the room have a presence. How many of us actually tap into the executive side of this presence? How many of us tap into our strengths, our executive presence? So you might wonder, what is executive presence? Right? Any of you wondering what is executive presence? Yeah, I can see some of you there who are not putting up your hands are wondering. You're wondering, right? Because you're deep in thought. Executive presence, when a CEO was asked, what is executive presence? His answer was, hey, you know what? I can't describe what it is, but I know it when I see it. I know it when I see it. It's that X factor, you know. When you walk into a room, people know it. People know that you have it, but I can't describe it. So then, John Maxwell, you know, he's an author that I follow, leadership guru, and John Maxwell says, executive presence is about how you carry yourself, how you communicate, and how you inspire people around you. That's what John Maxwell says. He also goes on to say that it's a very subtle but powerful form of influence. So if, as leaders, who each one of us in the room is, if we want to have more influence, we need to up our EP. We need to up our EP. We have no choice. The scenario is changing, guys. The business scenario is changing. We need to up our EP. Leadership is all about influence. Do you agree with me? Let's ask some of the leaders here. Do you agree with me, sir? Absolutely, he says. Anyone disagrees? Leadership is all about influence. And leadership is not about, yes, sir. You have something contrary to the same? All right, please, holler. Fantastic, absolutely. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. Let's hear it for the young man there. Leadership is about creating more leaders. It is about creating more leaders, and to create more leaders, first they need to follow you. Yeah, so you need to up your EP. Leadership is about creating more leaders. Leadership is not about having the loudest voice in the room. Leadership is not about having the loudest voice in the room. It's about having a presence that's so strong that your presence speaks even though you are silent. Is it making sense? Okay, fantastic. So now, guys, you know, for having come here today, thank you to Riaz. Riaz, you're there in the room. Thank you to Riaz Basha for, you know, having all of us here today, such a wonderful event. So I'm going to give you a few takeaways today on how to up your EP. Would that add value to you? If you want it, I'll give it to you. Just put your hand up if you want a few tips. Yeah, so those of you, you know, hand is a little heavy, you try and lift it with the other hand. Can we try? Okay, once again, you put your hand up and I'll give you this. Right, fantastic. If you want to be the ace in your organization, if you want to be the person who can create more leaders, then, my dear friends, I'm going to give you 3 tips on how you can ace it. ACE is an acronym. It's an acronym where A stands for appearance. You know, each one of you have a fantastic presence. It's your appearance. Your appearance, how you look, that's the first message you give the world. That's the first impression that you make on people. Let it be a winning impression. Let it be a winning impression, right? When we come for an event, any event we go to, any meeting we go to, let us dress appropriately for the same. Because whether you like it or not, when you walk in to talk to a leader, they're already sizing you up, they're already judging you, right? People judge people. So make sure that you make that first impression. Jo dikhta hai, wo bikta hai. Fantastic. All of you already know that. Wonderful. So having said that, I'm going to give you a small rule, the 12 by 12 by 12 rule of appearance. Okay? When you get ready and you're going out there, whatever the occasion might be, look at yourself. How do you look 12 feet away? Are you approachable? Are you dressed appropriately? So you don't mind people don't mind approaching you. How do you look 12 inches away? I'm not going closer than that. How do you look 12 inches away? Are you well groomed? You've taken a bath. Baal banaya hai. Fantastic. And what are your first 12 words? Are they about you yourself? Are you going out there and talking to the leaders and telling them about yourself, what you do, and you vomit on them? Or are your first 12 words about knowing about the other person? Appearance. I told you I'm going to help you ace. Be the ace in your organization. A stands for appearance. C is for communication. You know, effective communication is the heart of strong executive presence. Your communication has to be clear, crisp, concise. Clarity is key. Your communication has to be confident. You know, when I was hearing this about how Infosys wants to add value and the trust that they spoke of to clients 10,000 miles away, think about their communication. How are they communicating? You know, amazing values that were shared here. Yeah, can we hear it for that? Can we hear it for that? Yeah. Our communication is key. Needs to be crisp, concise, and we need to be confident when we communicate. The other thing about communication, my dear friends, is I want to ask you, is communication only about talking? Do you think we don't communicate when we don't speak? We do. We do. Our body is communicating. Our body is communicating. Our facial expressions are communicating. When you are communicating with people, do you look them in the eye? What are your gestures? What are your gestures? Right? The other thing about communication is when you don't listen to what others have to say, that's a part of communication. If we need to be open to listening to what others have to say, right? That's a very, very integral part of communication. So are you getting the thoughts on how to ace your EP? When you start communicating in this manner, you will find that your EP is going up a couple of notches, A-C-E. What does E stand for? Engagement. Engagement. How do you engage with people around you? Okay. How do you engage with them? Engagement is how you act. How you act. Do you act professionally? Because when you do act professionally, people look at you, and when they look at you with the eyes of trust and respect. Because if you don't act professionally, you don't gain that respect. We need to be authentic. Being authentic in our engagement. Yeah, we need to be, how many of you know about Dhoni? Dhoni was called Captain Cool, right? Dhoni was called Captain Cool. For what was he called Captain Cool? Because he kept a cool head despite all the situations that came up on the field. So we need to be calm. Calm. And we need to be sensitive to people's needs. When we are sensitive to people's needs, we strengthen our influence. And like we said earlier, leadership is all about influence. And engagement can help you build this influence. So, my dear friends, I've been given 15 minutes, and I can speak on each of these topics for the whole day, yeah, if I had the time. But I'm not going to bore you with that. all I want to leave you with is, what I want to leave you with is, you need to ace your EP. You need to up your EP. And why do you need to do that? Because each one of us in the room here is a leader. And if you want to create more leaders in your organization, which is essentially what we should be doing, creating more leaders in the organization, then we need to up our EP. But let me ask some of the leaders here, right? Many of you here, all of you here actually, I want to ask you, where you've reached today in your lives, in your businesses, you're at a particular, stage in your stature, in your business, and that's why you're sitting in the room here today. That's why you're here in the room today. So let me ask you this. Was it easy reaching where you are today? Think about it. Was it easy? Did it happen? I know some of us were born with a silver spoon in our mouth, but was it easy getting to where you are today, guys? Is that a yes or a no? It's a no, it was not easy. So if you ask me, Ram, how can we up our EP? Is it going to be easy? So let me tell you guys, everything worthwhile is uphill. Everything worthwhile is uphill. But the problem is we have uphill hopes, but we have downhill habits. We have uphill hopes and we have downhill habits. If we want to up our EP, then do you know what we need to do? We need to make building our EP a habit. We need to make building our EP a habit, because we spoke of prosperity in India today, right? So prosperity, my dear friends, is not just about having more. Prosperity is not just about having more. It's about becoming more. And when you up your EP, you will become more. Thank you very much, and my time is up.